The night of May 14th, 2008, began like any other. The small town of Marshall, Minnesota, was quiet, its streets bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. The air was filled with the promise of summer, a time for new beginnings and endless possibilities. Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old from Marshall, was out celebrating the end of the school year with friends. The night was alive with laughter and joy, a celebration of their hard work and the freedom that lay ahead. Brandon, like many others, was looking forward to a summer of adventures and memories. Excitement filled the air, a promise of summer adventures. The group of friends reveled in the moment, their spirits high as fireworks lit up the night sky. It was a night to remember, a night that seemed to hold endless possibilities. But for Brandon, this night would take a sinister turn, a descent into a mystery that remains unsolved. As the festivities wound down, Brandon decided to head home. He said his goodbyes and got into his car, unaware that this would be the last time his friends would see him. He vanished without a trace, leaving behind a void filled with questions, fear, and despair. His family and friends were left in shock, their lives forever changed by his sudden disappearance. The small town of Marshall was gripped by a sense of unease as the search for Brandon began. His last known moments were captured in a series of frantic phone calls, his voice a chilling testament to his growing panic. Brandon called his parents, telling them he was lost and needed help. His voice was filled with fear and confusion, a stark contrast to the joy he had felt just hours earlier. He was lost, disoriented, alone in the dark. The rural roads of Minnesota can be treacherous at night, and Brandon found himself in a place he didn't recognize. His parents tried to keep him calm, guiding him as best they could over the phone, but the connection was poor, and their efforts were in vain. His words, filled with fear and confusion, painted a picture of a young man trapped in a nightmare. He described his surroundings, but nothing made sense. The darkness seemed to close in around him, and his panic grew with each passing minute. His parents listened helplessly, their hearts breaking as they realized they couldn't reach him. What began as a night of celebration transformed into a heart-wrenching story of a life cut short, a mystery that continues to haunt the small town of Marshall. The community came together, holding vigils and searching tirelessly for Brandon, but he was never found. His disappearance remains an open wound, a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk just beyond the light. After leaving a party at a friend's house, Brandon's car swerved off a gravel road, leaving him stranded in the darkness of rural Minnesota. He called his parents for help, his voice betraying his fear. They set out to find him, their headlights cutting through the darkness, their hearts pounding with each passing mile. Around 2:30 a.m., Brandon's phone calls became increasingly frantic. He claimed he was near Lind, Minnesota, but his location didn't match his parents' GPS. He spoke of seeing lights in the distance, but as his parents searched, they found nothing. Then, silence. The phone call abruptly ended, plunging the Swanson family into a nightmare that continues to this day. Brandon's disappearance is shrouded in eerie details. His last phone call, filled with panic and confusion, ended with a chilling phrase, "Oh shit." What had he seen? What had he heard? The unanswered questions only deepened the mystery. Search parties scoured the area, their efforts hampered by the vastness of the Minnesota landscape. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, but Brandon remained missing. The lack of evidence, the strange circumstances, and the chilling final words haunted everyone involved. The unknown held them captive, whispering of a darkness that consumed Brandon and refused to let go. Theories abound, each one more unsettling than the last. Some believe Brandon stumbled upon something sinister, perhaps a crime scene or a dangerous individual. Others whisper of the supernatural, of a darkness that claimed him, pulling him into the shadows. The lack of evidence fuels speculation. Had he run away? The thought tormented his family, but deep down they knew it wasn't in his nature. He was a good kid, a college student with a bright future ahead of him. The mystery of his disappearance became a heavy weight, a burden carried by a community desperate for answers. Section 5, Lost and Not Found, The Search for Answers. Despite extensive searches, Brandon's disappearance remains a chilling mystery. The river was dragged, fields were combed, and forests were meticulously searched, but no trace of Brandon was ever found. His car, discovered abandoned in a ditch, offered no clues, only more questions. The case garnered national attention, drawing in seasoned investigators and amateur sleuths alike. Psychics offered their visions, and internet forums buzzed with theories. Yet, Brandon remained elusive, his story a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Section 6. Echoes of Doubt, the Car and the Cornfield. His car, a 1997 Chevy Lumina, was found the next day, stuck in a ditch near Taunton, Minnesota. The discovery of the car was the first tangible clue in the mysterious disappearance that had gripped the small community. The vehicle, partially hidden by the tall grass and shadows of the night, seemed to whisper secrets of what might have transpired. This location was miles away from where his cell phone last pinged, adding another layer of confusion to the already perplexing case. The distance between the last known signal and the car's location raised numerous questions. How did the car end up so far from where he was last known to be? Was he alone, or did someone else drive the car to this remote spot? The car's condition hinted at a possible accident, but there was no sign of Brandon. The front bumper was dented, and the windshield had a spiderweb crack, suggesting a sudden impact. Yet there were no bloodstains or personal belongings scattered around, which only deepened the mystery. Adding to the eerie nature of his disappearance, a massive search of a nearby cornfield revealed nothing. Volunteers, law enforcement, and even search dogs combed through the dense rows of corn, their flashlights piercing the darkness but finding no trace of Brandon. The cornfield, vast and silent, seemed to swallow their efforts whole. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The searchers' calls echoed back to them unanswered, and the mist that settled over the field in the early morning hours added an almost supernatural element to the scene. The cornfield, a symbol of Midwestern life, transformed into a haunting representation of the unknown. By day, it was a place of growth and sustenance, but by night, it became a labyrinth of shadows and whispers, a place where the familiar turned into the inexplicable. It held its secrets close, refusing to yield any answers, leaving investigators and the community baffled and heartbroken. The search continued for days, with the community rallying together, hoping for a breakthrough. But as days turned into weeks, hope began to wane, and the cornfield remained an enigmatic witness to Brandon's disappearance, its secrets buried deep within its stalks. Section 7. Shadows of Fear, the Unspoken Possibilities. The lack of evidence only fuels the most unsettling possibilities. Was Brandon a victim of a random act of violence snatched from the night by a predator lurking in the shadows? The thought sent shivers down the spines of locals, forever changing the landscape of their once peaceful community. Or could there be a more sinister explanation? The whispers of foul play, though unspoken, hung heavy in the air. The darkness seemed to hold its breath, guarding its secrets, leaving everyone to grapple with the chilling reality that some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved. Section 8. A community haunted the lingering mystery. Brandon's disappearance left an indelible mark on the small town of Marshall. Fear replaced innocence. The once familiar streets now held an undercurrent of unease. The community, once a place of warmth and camaraderie, now grappled with the chilling realization that darkness could touch even the most idyllic of places. Years have passed, but the memory of Brandon Swanson lingers, a ghost story whispered from generation to generation. His face, forever young, stares out from missing person posters, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of the unknown. Section 9. The unanswered question: what became of Brandon? Did he wander disoriented into the vast expanse of the Minnesota wilderness, his cries for help swallowed by the night? Or was there a more sinister force at play, a darkness that claimed him, leaving no trace behind? The questions remain, echoing through the years, unanswered and unresolved. The not knowing is a heavy burden, a weight carried by those who loved him deeply, those who searched for him tirelessly, and those who continued to be haunted by his mysterious disappearance. Section 10. A chilling silence. The mystery endures. The disappearance of Brandon Swanson serves as a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be solved. On that fateful night, Brandon was driving home when his car veered off the road. He called his parents, disoriented and lost, but despite their best efforts, they could not find him. The search that ensued was exhaustive, involving local authorities, volunteers, and even search dogs. But Brandon seemed to have vanished into thin air. The lack of answers only amplifies the horror, leaving us to confront the unsettling reality that we may never know what truly transpired on that fateful night. Theories abound, from foul play to accidental drowning, but none have provided the closure his family so desperately seeks. Each passing year adds another layer of mystery, another unanswered question. His story is a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life, a darkness that can swallow someone whole, leaving behind nothing but silence and unanswered questions. It's a tale that haunts the community, a ghost story told around campfires, a cautionary tale for those who wander too far off the beaten path. And in the quiet moments when the wind whispers through the cornfields, one can almost hear Brandon's voice, a faint echo in the darkness, a chilling reminder that some stories have no endings, only haunting beginnings. His disappearance is a puzzle with missing pieces, a story that refuses to be neatly wrapped up. It serves as a somber reminder that life is fragile, and sometimes the answers we seek remain just out of reach, hidden in the shadows.